So today I'm going to be turning a 8-inch olive ash bowl on the Axminster Trade 350WL. So the chisels I'm going to be using are the Crown Cryo M42 Razor Edge range, and they hold their edge amazingly well. This is a bowl gouge that I have just very slightly altered the profile, how it comes straight out of the box. I'm going to be using a bowl gouge, spindle gouge, roughing gouge and a parting tool. Okay, so we've got a 8-inch ash bowl blank. I'm just going to drill the hole so I can attach it to the screw chuck. So changing the belt position on this lathe is really easy. You just unlock the motor clamp, lift it up, take the tension off the belts, open that nut, uncover this, you open that hatch there. That gives you access to the belt at the bottom and the top, and you can just switch it over, get it into the desired position, close your hatches back up, unlock that, put some tension back in the motor, lock it off, and it's ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to attach the bowl blank to the screw chuck. I'm going to start the lathe going at around sort of 70 to 80 RPM. I'm just going to offer the bowl blank up, put a little bit of pressure on just until it starts to bite in. I'm going to stop it. I'm going to use the locking pin, lock the spindle, and I'm just going to tighten that on the rest of the way until that's nice and secure. Okay, so I'm just going to move the tool rest back in, and the tailstock, offer that up, get that nice and tight so that's nice and secure, and I can start roughing out. Okay, so I'm going to start by using the roughing gouge. I'll get it up to about 500 RPM, go a little bit higher, and I'm just going to start to true it up and get it into round. Tool rest in slightly closer, and I'm going to come in now with the bowl gouge and increase the speed a little bit, just to start to get a crisper finish and start to then look at the profile of the outside of the bowl. So now that the blank is nice and true, and I've just started to put a slight curve on the underside of the bowl, I can go back in now and start to really work on the profile. So it's going to be a footed bowl that kind of comes up in quite a gentle sweep. That is one thing that I will say about this lathe, is that I've been using it for close to a year now for kind of smaller projects, but for some larger projects too, and the power is just incredible. It doesn't get bogged down. It very rarely sort of slows down to kind of a noticeable amount, even when I'm putting a lot of pressure into the cut. It's really impressive for such a kind of compact size. So I've started to get the profile that I'm looking for. So I'm going to come in with the spindle gouge and just clean up the bottom of the foot to give me a nice flat surface, and then I'm going to come back in with the bowl gouge So now I'm going to come in and I'm just going to blend this curve in and get the kind of final profile of the outside of the bowl. Okay, so I've got my profile pretty much there how I want it. I'm just going to move the tailstock out of the way, bring the tool rest round, clean up the bottom of the foot, and then I'll give the outside a finish sand. Okay, so now the foot's been cleaned up, I'm just going to get the tool rest out of the way, and I'm going to finish sand the outside, not the foot because that's going to be gripped by the chuck, so it will leave teeth marks in, so I'm going to return that once the rest of the bowl is finished. So I'm going to Okay, so I've removed the screw chuck from the jaws, so I'm going to place the tenant into the jaws and tighten that down. It's important to remember to tighten off all three sections so that they're nice and tight. Okay, so now we've got the bowl blank mounted up, I'm going to bring the tool rest in and I'm going to start working from the outside in with a bowl gouge. Okay, so I think I've got the profile and the kind of wall thickness is nice and even all the way up. So I can look at sanding this and then taking it off the lathe and returning the foot just to sort of slim down the profile and to remove the marks left by the chuck. Okay, so we've got this mounted back up. I'm just using a simple jam chuck, so I've got a block of wood on this side held in the jaws, which is then pressed up inside the bottom of the bowl and then pinned with the tailstock. So I'm going to start to reshape the foot down to the kind of profile that I want. So just going to go back in now with the spindle gouge and just clean up this kind of junction where the profile of the bowl meets the foot. Okay, so I'm happy with the profile of the bowl. I've reshaped the foot, so now I'm just going to sand the foot and retouch up this area with some sandpaper as well, where I've just had to shave a little bit off to make that kind of junction nice and smooth. Okay, so I've got the finished bowl. I've given it a wipe down to remove any dust, and I'm going to give it the first coat of hard wax oil using a rag. Okay, so I've given that a good coat of oil now. I'm just going to let that sit and then wipe any excess off and set aside to dry.